there's a giant goldfish on screen. I know, it feels like I'm stating the obvious. I'm sure many of you have already seen it. Maybe you wondered, is this a joke? Maybe you just ignored it. Or maybe you did what I would do, and you wondered, what was the goldfish thinking when that photo was taken? Hi, my name is Sara Garg, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. What the goldfish was thinking. No, it's not animal telepathy, I wish it was. It's about how to look beyond the very surface of what we see in the world. Look deeper. Look for what we can't see. And what do we see right now? Carpet, stage, letters, lights. You hear my voice? Maybe you can smell a kind of musty library scent. Maybe you hear some laughter, some murmurs. Maybe you feel the cold, hard seats underneath your butts. Who knows? But this is just what we perceive. To perceive is almost universal. It is rare to see, to notice, to look deeper. This is a problem that plagues all of us. We are slowly turning into goldfish. Because goldfish are renowned for their short attention spans. They'll swim around the tank again and again and again because they don't remember where they were before. The human attention span is 10% shorter than that of a goldfish. We are, as a species, losing our attention spans. We are becoming more shallow. That's what they call it, the shallowing hypothesis. Research has shown that humans as a species don't think as deeply as we used to. Our moral codes are less developed. We no longer focus on things. We just scroll down the reel, we go through TikTok, and we don't think. And I am guilty of this as well. For most of my life, I thought spiders were ugly. That's all I saw. They were insects, ew! I saw the sunset. I said, that's pretty. That's what ugly means, that's what beautiful means. There's nothing below the surface. I was wrong. Because I didn't even think of the power of spiders, how essential they are to insect control. I didn't look at how a spider web looks in the morning dew. I didn't consider the amazing survival instincts that spiders have evolved over centuries just to survive. And then I looked at the sunset, and I didn't think of any of the implications of why it was beautiful. Why was it so vivid? It's smog. It's global warming that makes the sunsets look prettier now than they did 50 years ago, because pollution in the air traps the sunlight and makes it glow red. I didn't even think to look for these things. How do we even begin to look for these things? How do we begin to see? For me, this came through poetry. I have been a poet for 8 years, and on these 8 years, I have learned the importance of finding these little eureka moments where you can peel back the surface of the world. Peel back what the goldfish would see and look a little bit deeper. As we search to truly see, we embark on a quest, the quest of a lifetime. And to guide us on this quest, there are 5 W's. Watch, wander, wonder, write, and finally, win. We began looking for a map to tell us where we go on this quest. Where do we even begin? We open our eyes and we look at the leaves just waving in the breeze. We listen to the sound of my brother's yawns. We taste the wind. We look deeper. We zoom into this world around us. My favorite lullaby when I was about 6 years old is a lullaby in Hindi. And it sings about a faraway mango orchard. And it sings about a path behind this mango orchard and slowly zooms in to a tiny town and a tiny house and a tiny child who's getting a tiny bit sleepy. And that's what we need to do. We need to take the lesson of this lullaby and we need to zoom in. We need to watch the very smallest things and begin to be present. And it's not easy. As we find on the map these paths we can take, this quest we can journey on, it's not an easy one. There are battles we must fight, monsters we must face, and these are monsters that we created. Because when we look at research from Pew Research Center, we find that 80%, over 80% of kids my age today use social media, and those numbers have only been rising for the past 30 years. This is a trend prevalent across all age groups. We are, as a society, growing disconnected. We are facing these demons, these monsters that we ourselves have created, and we are unable to watch. And what do we do now? How do we watch? How do we have the ability to look? The weapons we have are as simple as our 5 senses. When I began to write poetry, my very first time in a writing lesson, my teacher came up to me and she handed me a banana and she set it down on the table in front of me and she said, "We have an hour today. You are going to spend this hour writing about this banana. You are not going to write a story about the banana. You are going to describe the banana using your 5 senses for an hour, and your pen should not be put down." I know way more about a banana than I ever wanted to know. But that was valuable because it helped me understand how you watch the world. You ground yourself, immerse yourself completely in it, and it seems so silly. Why a banana? Why something so mundane? But this is where the second W comes in, because let go of what you think is important to look at, what you think is mundane. That doesn't matter. Most of the world we live in seems mundane to us. To find our little Eureka moments, you need to find the extraordinary in the mundane. The very first award-winning poem I ever wrote was inspired because I was so bored. It was Friday. I was sitting in my teacher's office in a chair I had sat in thousands of times. I was looking out the window I had looked out of thousands of times. I had written poems about the ice cream man who crossed the block, about that bird that laid in the tree over there, about the shapes of the clouds. I thought I had seen everything there was to see outside of that window. And then that day, on a complete whim, I looked down and I saw, wait for it, rocks. Not fancy rocks, not colorful rocks. They were granite, they were oddly shaped in different shades of gray, and I'm sure you can find them at Home Depot. But those rocks inspired me because I looked at them and I pulled out that third W. The thing that is the essence of this quest. You find your path with the map. You face these monsters, you fight your battles. But what is the actual journey? How do you achieve your quest? It's wonder. And I wondered, what if these rocks outside the window could speak? What if they had a voice? What would they say to me? And right now, I want all of you to consider the people sitting around you, even the things around you. What's their story? Wonder about what were they before they came here? And when you wonder, I wonder, maybe we share something similar in our histories. My second favorite lullaby growing up. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, like a diamond in the sky, up above the world so high. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. I am sure many of you recognize it. It's a classic. And I'm also sure it sounds very strange coming from me, because it's a children's lullaby. This is the final boss, the final battle at the end of this quest. Because why is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star? It's a song about wonder. Why do we reserve it for children? Why is wonder reserved only for children? In fact, children have the most vivid imaginations. Adolescents, less so. And adults, it barely overlaps. And we, as a society, have seen that as a sign of maturity. You're growing up, good, maturing. You don't need your imagination anymore. But while childhood can be a time of silly antics, colorful imagination, it is also the time of our lives where we grow the most, where we learn the most. And we leave that behind when we leave behind our imagination. And the key to unlock that treasure chest at the end of this quest is embracing your inner child and letting yourself wonder and letting yourself imagine, because that's how you unlock these Eureka moments. You look closely at the world. You watch for things you never thought about before. You let your gaze wander to what you thought was unimportant. And then you wonder. You wonder, what don't you see? And maybe you'll never know. I'll never know if the rocks could actually talk. But just wondering grounds you. And just wondering was the spark of my writing. Writing that named me the Houston International Poetry Festival 2017 Youth Poet of the Year. Yeah. And that came because of some rocks and a question. And this isn't a quest that has an end. This treasure chest that you win is not once and for all. The treasure, the win, is simply the Eureka. It's there was something here I never thought about before. It's the world is way more interesting than I thought it could ever be. It's the maybe I can find a little bit of magic everywhere. And this is a journey that never stops. Once you find your Eureka moment, you go back and you find more. Suddenly, what was that chair thinking when I sat on it? What was my water bottle thinking when I dropped it down the flight of stairs? What's the perspective of these other people that I don't know? And when we open our eyes and we see, when we wonder, when we watch, when we let our gaze wander to what we thought was unimportant, we become more than goldfish. We shatter our glass bowls. Thank you.